Welcome back to the lunch counter. Going to talk guts. Lisa, it was you who first said a term to me, North American gut.
Yeah.
What is the North American gut?
In my practice, because I work in food, I work in my specialties in digestion because that's where food is absorbed and assimilated. And our digestive system is a mess. And our gut, which is what we usually call our small and large intestine, it takes up this area. It's full of bacteria. We are 90% bacteria. For every cell our body makes, we have 9 cells of bacteria. Most of them are in our gut. But it's also where our immune system lives, 80% of our immune system, as well as the highest concentration of neurons outside of our brain. And this is where serotonin is made. There's so many health issues that come out of an imbalance in the gut. And a lot of inflammatory issues, brain issues. That fog I had was all about my gut. But then it's also this overstimulation that happens when our gut isn't able to create balance. And because we have chlorine in our water and we overuse antibiotics, both in our meats, we're taking in antibiotics when we eat conventional meat, but we also take them too much. We're killing off the good bacteria and allowing unhappy visitors to take over, and this can create issues that don't pop up on blood tests, and aren't noticeable, but they create this wide range of problems. And that's what I do all day, is I work with people to help rebalance their gut, because when their gut is happy, their body is balanced, and you can think better and your immune system works. It's a wonderful place.
I saw you nodding.
Ditto. It is interesting to look, Chinese medicine's original treatise is food cures, because we didn't have anything else. And it's interesting when you go, for many years I belonged to the Chinese Association in Vancouver, and I go there to be 350 Chinese male doctors and me. It was a fascinating experience, I know. And we go to these Chinese restaurants. It was really funny, the one would take pity on me and translate what was going on, and they would be talking about, how this dish has got this herb in it, this herb. And Chinese don't differentiate herbs and food. It's interesting, the average Chinese kid, or the Asian kid, knows, if I have a stomach flu, they'd go have that dish, or they'd go have that dish. And, we'll go to workshops, and the teacher will say, you're eating this dish for lunch, and you're eating that dish for lunch. And it's just trying to re-educate and re-nourish the body's food. But yeah, culturally, most of North America has demolished their digestive tract. And there's a great saying from Asian practitioners about working on Western practitioners, just give them stomach acid because they don't have any. And we were talking about PPI, protein pump inhibitors and Tums and all that stuff, which neutralizes stomach acid, which is the Western's primary way to deal with heartburn. Heartburn is just an indication you have an upset stomach, all right, and you need to be nicer to it. And normally we would give more stomach acid, and they're demolishing the stomach acid, but that stomach acid is minerals coming out of your cells, your body, and eventually it's going to run out, and you're going to have. Fixing someone like that, when they've run out of those, when you start looking at their nails and they're all thin and spotted, and you look and go, this is going to be a while.
But it is reversible. That's where I
Sure.
started.
Absolutely.
I started with no stomach acid left.
Absolutely.
And a gut that was just a mess. And it is reversible.
Easier at 20 than at 50.
It is. The younger, and I was about 27 when I realized my stomach had no acid left. But my hair was falling out, and my nails were flaking, and it was awful. Small changes, like bringing my stomach acid up slowly over time, I felt a difference right away. It's amazing.
But here, I think in our Western culture, we're far more likely to sit okay with taking something to what feels like, take that pain away, take the pain of heartburn away. And it is a fast fix instead of working on the problem.
And it's really hard to get somebody to understand that acid you're feeling is a sign of low stomach acid, not high stomach acid.
Yeah, it's shocking.
And that takes quite a long conversation, especially because their doctor may or may not agree with that. There's ways that we can test the amount of acid in the stomach, and that way we can be in agreement. But there is a time and a place for proton pump inhibitors. There are times where they're very necessary.
Yep.
I just feel that they can be overprescribed and are causing more and more issues. And there's a black box warning on them not to stay on them for 2 or 3 months or longer because of the deficiency in minerals. But most people are on them for years or decades.
And talking about years and decades, perhaps, of taking medicines, I was watching a morning talk show this morning, and there's a new pill that some are calling mommy's new little helper, in air quotes. And they're antidepressants. And
It's not a nanny?
no, it's not a nanny. And I think, again, this is one of those issues, perhaps, that, why are moms so depressed? Are they depressed because they're not eating well and not getting exercise and perhaps trying a different approach to their health?
They're not getting cultural support.
Yeah, they're not getting support.
Yeah, it's like a disease. Like, oh, look, she's, now there's breastfeeding's back in vogue again, thank goodness. But I have a young daughter, and what do I know about being a mommy? But it's just cuckoo. I spent a lot of years overseas working, and you come back here, and there's just no community. You have to go out with those mother groups. Every woman has lactation troubles. That's just how it's going to be. And you need to have a bunch of mummies around to say, oh, us too. It's okay. You work on it,
But how do we, as a society, get that message out there that you can work on it without taking a pill?
My favorite would be to express to people profoundly, emotions are not cancer. You can have emotions. It's okay. You can cry. You can scream. You don't need an antidepressant. You don't need to depress your emotions. If you want to cry, it's okay. You cry. You want to scream, it's okay. You scream. And then what happens? Nothing happens. You're fine. Oh, okay. Now we can go back to worrying about what we're eating and our sleep and make the lazy husband do more work and call our mommy and ask for some advice.
Yeah, and you really believe, Lisa, that food can be just so, mood can be so affected by food.
Absolutely. As I had said, 95% of the serotonin in our body is made in our gut, and it's made by the foods we bring in. When our serotonin levels are low, we crave really high carbohydrate foods because our body can make serotonin from healthy carbohydrates, starches, squash and sweet potatoes. Can't make it from white bread and McDonald's, but you'll still crave it because that's the type of food your body wants. And when our body has a high amounts of junk food and processed food, our nutrient levels are lower. We aren't making the serotonin, and this creates a big problem. And that can depress the mood. When my diet was atrocious, my mood was in the dumps. And that's not even a consideration now because my body's in so much better balance.
Do you think that acupuncture can affect mood? I mean, I'll say that I've been to see you once, and boy, did it affect me in a pretty profound way. I have no problem saying that.
I remember the first time I had a GP send me someone for depression. I thought, oh my goodness, is the world still moving in circles, And it's interesting, I'm fortunate to have lunch every year with one of the board members of the American Medical Acupuncture Association. So MDs doing acupuncture in the States. Very strict, very straight, proper guys. And I said to him, why are we getting so much traction? Like, why is everybody into acupuncture now? Because there's real studies from real universities showing real results that are being challenged by companies and winning in courts. And trust me, they've had depression in China long before there's been in North America, you know what I mean? And depression isn't something new. It's certainly something more popular, but acupuncture done well is miraculous because depression, as a teacher once told me, is what are you depressing? Acupuncture will move things without you having to talk about your childhood or blah, 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 right? And the same with modifying your food intake will radically change your behavior.
Yeah. And from personal experience, it's definitely more than psychosomatic, because I think that's what some people think it is. Now, we have to go to a break, but after the break, maybe talk about something a little controversial. So stay with us. We'll be right back.